What is up, everyone? We are back. It is March 9th. This is March. We had conference tournaments going on already. The mid-majors are underway, and we are ready to go. We got 12 games on the main site today. No Kurt for right now. I think he might join us in a bit. Kurt had some news last night that I'll let him share if he hops on. But we got Gav here. Gav, how are you feeling? This is March. We're finally here. It's been a grind of a season. How you doing?
Yeah, doing better than my laptop, certainly last night. Just I was on about game number 8 or 9, and felt the back of the laptop, and it was hot. And just totally, completely took a shit on me. So we're going to be half winging it today. I still remember a lot of the probably better, higher quality notes that are going to be more tangible to what we're playing and whatnot, but let's do this.
Yeah, I know I've got a handful of bets already. So as we go along, if you have anything that you've already fired in, let us know. We'll just go through the 12 games here. If you have any questions in the chat, fire them in. Let's just get underway. There's a lot of news on this slate, so this kind of feels, Gav, like we're going to start with a lineup and probably end with something that looks a little different because there's about a half dozen pretty big news spots on this slate. Including one in the first game here. We'll start it off. Arkansas at Bama. We had 3 games in that early window. Gav, it's a little less than usual, but all 3 games have pretty high totals here. Really high totals on this first one. Bama's minus 15, 174.5 tote, the highest on the slate. Arkansas down to 110 at Ken Pom. Bama up to 9th. What do you got for us here?
Yeah, this is a pretty good axe murder spot for Bama. I think they've lost 3 of their last 4, Tennessee, Florida, and Kentucky. Now at home with a 95-point team total, and a win also secures them a double bye in the SEC tourney. So I don't see this as a game that they're just going to take off. The 2 games last year were 77 and 82 possessions, and Arkansas is way worse defensively this year without multiple NBA guys on the roster. Bama's been beaten up on just, these bums. They're 9-0 in Q3 and Q4 games. So yeah, this is a really good spot for them. They could easily post 100 here and cruise, and they have an injury on their side, which even condenses things more. So yeah, the Trevon Brazile return, has happened in Arkansas. Jalen Graham is now supposedly out due to academics. It was injury related like the last couple games, but didn't travel last game. Another road game. I don't know if he's doing the Doug McDaniel can't play road games because I didn't turn in my long division homework program. But yeah, you got Brazile there. Sears is going to be one of the better plays on the slate. Arkansas is going to run a ton of pick and roll. Bama's good, not great at defending it, but more specifically, much better at guarding the roll man than the ball handler. So that's going to be the battle, the L. Ellis, the Tremont Marks for the most part.
Yeah, I think we got to start on the Bama side here, Gav. 95 team total on KenPom, like you said, upside for 100 plus here. With the Griffin news, how do you think that impacts starters? I actually thought that Wrightsell was going to play more last game. We've got him projected for like mid-20s minutes here. But, it didn't really give me the warm and fuzzy that he only got 8 minutes in a game that they kind of needed him last time out. What do you think there?
Yeah, when they just got pasted by Florida.
Yeah,
I think it, what was it? Like concussion, I think, related. So, I tend to feel those guys, they might need a game just to get under their belts. I think what you do is you just project Wrightsell conservatively, minutes-wise, and he's still probably going to pop. And if he does, then you're playing him regardless. So I don't even think we mentioned it. But, yeah, the Ryland Griffin question. So he could very well be out. Calf injury is usually not good. I think with him out, obviously, helps Wrightsell kind of secure a baseline of, I'd imagine, 20 minutes. But the other thing, too, is it could open up like a Sam Walters. It's obviously.
Yeah, so like that's my concern, right? Like he played 8 minutes in the game that they lost a couple of days ago. I could kind of see them just playing a bunch of those guys like 15 minutes. But Wrightsell is cheap, right? Like this role, a couple weeks ago, he was priced up in the mid sixes. If he does actually get the minutes. Up top, we have Sears and Estrada. I think both are elite spends here, Gav. Do you have a lean between the two? Estrada's just been awesome down the stretch here.
Yeah, it helps when you're posting triple doubles on Estrada's side. But yeah, I'm definitely playing Sears. I'm not even thinking twice about it. His points prop is at like 22.5. I think he had 4 points in the first half of Florida last game. You'll notice he finished with 33, so he had 29 points in one half against Florida. And he had
about 12 of them in the last 4 minutes of the game too.
Yeah. Sears is going to be one of the best plays of the slate, probably one of the higher owned spend ups, I'd imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you necessarily need to get away from it. There's plenty of spots to get different on this slate, especially when the news starts rolling out. So yeah, Sears, elite spend, Reitzel, elite budget play, Walters, Estrada.
What about Grant Nelson here? So he's fouled out in 3 straight games. Prior to that, he was playing, low 30s minutes. He projects well at like 26, 27. If he sees 32 here and he doesn't foul, I think down at 6'3", I think he's an interesting play in the qualifier. What do you think?
He's always just going to have a wide range of outcomes, given whether he fouls out or whether he's hitting threes and whatnot and getting rebounds. So. Yeah, if you want to mix them in, I don't think it's a priority play by any means, but I think better for the larger GPPs, the qualifiers, etc.
Yeah, I think I'm going to play 1 of 3 Nelson today. Any interest in anyone on the Arkansas side? Khalif Battle, 4 straight games, over 40, 3 of them over 50, and now gets the best tempo spot in the conference.
Yeah,
what are you doing with?
I think he's got 15 free throws a game in the last 4 games, just living at the line, and still not being horribly inefficient like we saw him at Temple be. I mean, I think whenever he's going to be 9K, he's going to be a contrarian spend because he can literally put up 40 points, 40 real points. Or, if he doesn't get to the free throw line, he also might score 12, although he's just been carrying so much of the water of this offense. God, they suck in the half court unless the ball's in, Battle or Mark's hands and even a little bit Ellis. But yeah, that's where I'm at with Battle. I'm probably out on Mark at that price. And then, out on L. Ellis. If he plays another 32 minutes and crushes, so be it. I think there's better value spots that we can feel better about.
Yeah, I kind of put the same note in the playbook. I was like, outside of Battle, Mark, and maybe like a Makai Mitchell in tournaments, I'm not even listing anyone else. I've had enough. I've had enough of Arkansas.
You don't have any interest in Brazil? What do you think his minutes are if he doesn't foul like he has literally the last 3 games?
So I didn't watch the last game because we were out at the Kentucky game. Did he just foul immediately again?
He fouled once, I want to say 3 minutes into the half. He fouled another time with 6 minutes left in the half. And then, so he sat after that, goes in, starts the second half, fouls the first possession, doesn't see the game the rest of the time.
Yeah, I mean, under 5K, you have to have some interest, but I don't know. It's a tough click for me unless I was playing like if you're playing the mini max, I like it just because there aren't a ton of values today, and we'll get to that. But yeah, I think he's okay. I'm just honestly tired of chasing these cheaper Arkansas guys this season. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's go to the Big East. Georgetown and St. John's. Huge spread here. St. John's minus 20, Gav. 153.5 total, though. So the St. John's team total's up over 85. We saw them just smash. I think it was DePaul during the week. So they kind of spread out minutes for everyone. Kind of tough for me to trust an individual play on St. John's right now. I think it would be Jenkins for me. And then on the Georgetown side, I think that there's some interesting plays here. Jaden Epps, 39 plus minutes in 4 or 5 games, just a ton of shots, 16 plus in all of them. And then I think an interesting discussion point is what they did in the second half of last game, basically benching Supreme Cook, playing Drew Fielder 15 out of 20 minutes with the coach talking about how much he's earned that. And the season's dead. Wouldn't surprise me to get the freshman involved a bit, but it does take some projection there. What do you got for us here?
Yeah, I mean, Epps just put it on St. John's the first time around. I think he 50 DFS wise. But yeah, St. John's box scores are going to be wonky. It was the blowout against DePaul, and I mean, they just smashed Butler to bits in Hinkle.
Yeah.
I remember I think they actually jumped like 15 spots after the Butler win and only jumped one when they beat Creighton at home by 15. It was weird in Ken Palm, but yeah, 4 straight wins for the Johnnies. They've been beating kind of the lesser competition in the Big East. They only beat Georgetown by 5 in DC last time, so they kept it relatively competitive. But yeah, in the sense of Fielder, I just think like, dude, it's a dead season. Why would you want to play a mid-major up transfer big in Supreme Cook that's not going to be there next year? That's kind of what I just take from it. Like Fielder definitely can play. I don't think it's mainline viable just because the floor is 6 minutes. So if you want to mix him in at GPPs, sure, I think that's fine. I think there's a little bit better 4K plays, especially in the guard spot. But yeah, he's probably the first budget forward that you at least mix into the pool.
Yeah, he's the only guy under 4K that I even have listed on the playbook. I think he's interesting. You're going to have to think on it more. He did look good in that game during the week. On the St. John's side, big team total, but at these price tags and with the pretty deep rotation that he seems very comfortable using in blowouts, do you have any interest in the St. John's guys with the 20-point spread here going into the conference tournament?
Not a ton. And even if you play him, I don't know how you feel great about him.
Yeah.
I think RotoWire wrote up Glenn Taylor, so he's auto dead on arrival. Dingle's been just an elite bum hunter, but God, he's only 800 less than Jaden Epps, and I know what I'm going to get from Jaden Epps. So yeah, it's St. John's a little bit tougher click. 85 team total. It's almost like if you want to play St. John's, you might have to play 2 of them, and if you're playing 2 of them, you probably need to run back a Georgetown piece because you're expecting them to at least keep it competitive. So I think that's one way to play it. But if you're just trying to find a one-off play, Epps is probably the best in the game. Then Soriano, Danis are probably second. Then other than that, it gets a little bit screwy. The St. John's minutes yo-yo a bunch, so kind of tough to get a sense of Patino game to game.
Are you more comfortable with Epps or Jenkins here?
I mean, Epps just from the shot volume perspective, perspective.
You just know that he's playing like all 40 minutes here. Probably.
Yeah, it's harder for Epps to run into fouls because he doesn't play any defense. Versus Danis, has had foul troubles throughout the season here and there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd probably say Epps over them. I think he's actually going to be he's going to have some ownership at 7-3, like maybe low 20s type.
Yeah. All right, let's keep it moving. Memphis at FAU. FAU's had a pretty weird season. I guess Memphis has too. FAU's been great at home all year though. They're laying 8.5, 162.5 total. Gav with the huge pace up at home against Memphis. David Jones up at 10K, 9.7, as he's just been going for 50s seemingly all year. We've seen Nate Tomlin play really, really well with Dandridge not in the fold, coming off a great game, but now priced up to almost 8K. We still have a pretty good projection on him despite the price hike there. And then the FAU side, it's basically the same write-up every game, right? You got Jonell Davis as the stud guard. In their pace-up games, he's going to be a great play. Elijah Martin's like your contrarian guard play who's pretty inconsistent. And then Golden, like the ultimate tournament play when he's priced around 7K as he's got upside for 40, but he could also foul out in 9 minutes. What do you think here?
Yeah, interesting spot. This was the rematch of the all-in Memphis effort at home to win by 4 against FAU. Yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff in the box score, dude. Memphis they are terrible allowing defensive rebounds. One, I think, has to do with just their pace and proclivity to run. Just makes it harder to send guys to the glass, but they only give up 3 offensive rebounds to FAU. It was their worst offensive rebounding percentage of the season. I think their only single-digit game. I don't expect that to sustain. We did get news a little bit before we went live here that Trey Carroll's out. So, God, I don't know. If you want to mix in a Rosado and like the mini-max, you're going to need Golden fouls, but Golden also mashed Memphis last time. And now I can't remember if Dandridge was playing last time they went. I don't think he was. But yeah, Memphis needs this game there because they're vying for the final double bye spot in the conference. So yeah, they already played FAU tough. Expect this to be relatively close. Ultimately think FAU is going to get them though.
Yeah, same. I'm not sure I'm comfortable laying the 8.5, but yeah, I didn't bet on this one. Yeah, I think the Memphis guys are probably contrarian plays at their price tags. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, probably. I mean, Quinterly, David Jones, and Tomlin, they all smashed against FAU last time. I think they had 60 of their 78 points altogether. Wow. So, yeah, I think contrarian, but still relatively interesting, especially like if you want to play like a Javon Quinterly against the drop. I think he should have some pretty good success here, maybe even betting like a point total for him. But this should be a pretty good up and down game.
Yep. All right. So those are the games in the first lock here. Let's go to I think it's 2:00
wow,
Eastern.
Then 2 hours after? Holy shit.
Isn't that wild? So this is A&M at Ole Miss. A&M, wow, just pissed down their leg the second half of the season. Ole Miss struggled after the hot start. This is like 2 disappointing teams in 2024, I guess you could say. We've got Ole Miss minus 1.5 at home here, 142.5 total. Gav, I think that total might be a bit light for me. I don't know. We saw some weird stuff happen in the Ole Miss game last time out with Matt Morrell. I think you said he had food poisoning. Henry Coleman on the A&M side didn't suit up. So, some price tags I think that we can take advantage of in this one. What do you think?
Yeah, Morrell subbed himself out like 2 minutes into the game, ran to a trash can, just blew his guts up, and then never came back to the game. So I still expect him to play in this spot. 6'3" is just an absurd price tag for him. So absolutely mainline viable, borderline, if not core. For me, like Flanagan's price down 2 is really interesting, but yeah, if Henry Coleman's out and A&M's going to be down 2 bigs, Ole Miss and Ole Miss / Musa Cisse / Jamarian Sharp, they're wanting to go for blocks, often puts them out of position to rebound. So Ole Miss is a bottom 10 team allowing offensive rebounds versus an elite offensive rebounding team in A&M. Yeah. One thing I thought that was weird this morning, Boots Radford's points prop is higher than Wade Taylor's. If you want some perspective on how Wade's been doing.
Right.
But yeah, A&M is just a fucking miserable shooting team. I think they're like 360 in 3-point percent. It's just awful. So yeah, I don't want anything to do with the total. I could see pretty inefficient game right here. But yeah, Obaseki started last game, played 29 minutes, 27 minutes the game prior. He
started the last 2 now.
Yeah, I think he's former 5-star, I want to say. At least like 4. He was pretty high pedigree coming out of high school. Just never did anything his first 4 years of college. But I don't know if he's providing some spark for him. Then yeah, he's going to be a good play at 4.8 if he starts. I'll likely be playing him at 4.8 if he starts. But I don't think a priority budget play, but definitely in play.
Do you think Coleman's status affects him at all? Or does he affect more of the Anderson Garcia Washington duo?
I think I think the biggest out of Coleman is raising Washington's ceiling. Anderson Garcia is going to play, a ton. We know what we're going to get from him. It's all rebounding, no shooting, mostly peripheral stuff.
Yeah.
It could help them play a little bit smaller where Obaski's playing a 3 or 4 role. But yeah, I don't think he directly affects him much.
Cool. Yeah, no, I think there are a couple good plays in here. Obaseki, if you want to play a quote unquote underpriced Wade Taylor, he just hasn't done it in about a month. And then I think all 3 Ole Miss guys are good plays. probably in reverse order of price there. Would you agree? Morrell, Flanagan, then Murray.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Let's keep it moving. West Virginia at Cincy. Cincy laying 11 here, 147 total. Our guy Jesse Edwards during the week, Gav. It was finally Jesse's time. They priced him down to 7.5. He was so due for a game like this. Didn't foul, just absolutely crushed. I think it was TCU, right?
Yeah.
But now gets the 1K price hike on the road with a 65 team total here. What do you like in this one?
I like the model that would have told me that Jesse Edwards is going to take 19 shots last game, because if he does, he's going to 50 more often than not. Yeah, Victor Locken missed the last game for Cincy. I think this kind of tracks with, his lack of play time throughout the month of February. Like, I think he was just clearly hampered. They finally put him in a boot. I don't know if the boot was precautionary, as much as it is like, hey, we're sidelining you for a full week or two, so you're gonna have to monitor that. Would totally kill off Jameel Reynolds, who was okay, not great, in his outing against OU in the overtime game. Did have a little bit of foul trouble, but yeah, then you got Dan Skilling's priced down. He's gonna get probably mega owned here, I'd imagine. 30+% type guy, I think. With the price down, got, again, 29 minutes in an overtime game is not great. He did foul out. But yeah, he's rebounding his ass off. 8+ rebounds, 4 of his last 5. So definitely in play, mainline viable.
Yeah, Skilling's minutes kind of scare me at that price, at how owned he's going to be in this spot. Plus, it's like, we're in early March. How many times have you played Dan Skilling's all season? One, two?
Yeah, unfortunately, like never, and it hasn't gone well at all times. How many times have we faded chalk Dan Skillings and he just stuck it right to us?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't love it here.
I'll tell you what I love: Cincinnati 3-point props in this spot at home against a West Virginia team that allows a ton without much perimeter pressure. That's where I'd first look.
Yeah, we have seen Jizzle James play 28 minutes in back-to-back games. He's at 5'2". He is shooting the ball a ton, shot rate of about 20% since he's been playing more. I think he's okay, just because we don't have a bunch of plays around that 5K range. I think you can sprinkle him in, Gav, and he's got at least like scoring upside, especially against a shit team like West Virginia. Any thoughts there? And then anything else in this game?
Yeah, I wasn't really considering Jizzle James. Now, I didn't get to dig in on this slate as much as I want with the computer mishap, but like I get it. Freshman who's coming into a larger role at the back end of the season, playing a dog-ass team that he can kind of stretch his legs against the Estonian turnstile defender that is Kirk Kriisa. I don't hate it. I mean, he's going to be 5% owned. You have 10 to 15, you're 2 to 3x the field. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, I kind of like him, especially since we have a $30 queue today. You can take chances on more guys like that in a larger field. All right, let's go to OU, Texas. Texas laying 5.5 here, 144.5 total. I was going to take that Texas spread until I saw the Dessou news. Gav, do we have any read on Dessou here? I kind of think he ends up missing the game just because of his history, right? Like, he hasn't ever been a guy that's come back from injuries in a timely manner.
It's also the knee too.
Yeah. So, I don't get a warm and fuzzy on him. If he does play and start, he's only 7'4", so he'll be in play there. So do you have any read on that? And then on the other side, we've got McCollum as a game time call. When he missed last game, we saw Soares and Darthard play nearly every minute.
I don't really have a strong read on whether Dessou plays or not. Like, gun to my head, I'd lean out. Yeah, if he does play, he's a smash at 7'4", especially against the Oklahoma drop without Hughley and Godwin in there. Without Hughley and them having Godwin in there. OU's running, drop coverage at a much higher rate. So, yeah, he should have 3 ball opportunities if he's in there. Yeah, Darthard was nuts, man. He was doing like his best Khalif Battle impersonation and just getting to the line religiously. Hits the go-ahead three-pointer with like 4 seconds left in regulation to basically give him a shot at overtime.
Yep.
He played awesome. You know, if Dessou misses, we're probably playing Caden Shedrick at 5.2K.
Yep.
When he was out early in the year, Shedrick had a couple of just nuclear spots, even when he was going through shoulder injury stuff. So Shedrick's going to be in play. Dare I say, like, if Horton's got 20 plus minutes in 5 straight games, also coming off his second highest rebounding game of the year.
I can't do it.
Not for me, but you can mix him in. You can do worse than him at 4-4. So yeah, I think it's probably.
This is just an interesting injury game because we have it on both sides, right? Shedrick in the role without Dessou got up to 7K early this season. I think that's really interesting. And then Dylan Mitchell was almost 8K without Dessou. You know, we haven't played much of him since Dessou's come back, but he's back down to 5.9, coming off, I believe, a foul game there for Texas. So, like, those two are super interesting to me. And then on the other side, like you said, Dart Hard played huge minutes. Soares was popular. I know Captain, his projections were all over Soares. Once we got the news, I was kind of stuck and I couldn't get to him. But I felt really lucky that Soares didn't have a better game there.
Yeah, you know, I think that Darthard is going to somewhat cut slightly into his role, like especially without Jave McCollum. Soares is going to be the guy who is going to get downhill into the paint and start collapsing defenses. Darthard definitely did that himself too as well. That being said, yeah, 6'2", potentially without McCollum. Like Turtle had him going into the slate, I think, right? So yeah, he's going to be a good play at 6'2". He's definitely taken on just way more of a role within this team. Another thing I'd add is that where's I think the freshman Max. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. You know, he got a decent amount of minutes. It was also because Uzan fouled out. So I wouldn't chase the 18 minutes that he saw last game. You know, he's the only other one with minutes at the point guard other than Uzan and McCollum. So don't go there. I think Darthard potential core play, main line viable, squarely in play kind of guy.
Yeah, it feels weird considering 2 OU guys, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And 3, maybe 4 from this game, just because it's not like a game that's probably going to go crazy. But just with the injury stuff, I think you could see yourself playing like at least 2 of like Soares, Darthard, Shedrick, and I might be higher on Mitchell than you are. He's not a guy that I like that much overall, but Gav, he was almost 8K without Dessou earlier.
He can double, dude. And the reason I wasn't playing him was because Dessou was just soaking up so much of the not only the big minutes, but rebounding usage. So yeah, I get it.
All right, that's enough mid-range guys that we're talking about here. Let's go to Iowa State, Kansas State here. Not much DFS wise, I don't think. Iowa State laying 3.5. 134.5 total. I think it's the lowest one we've talked about so far, Gav. Taman Lipsey finally got there for us during the week in a spot and a price that you just had to play him, right? He was way too cheap. Had a great game. He went for, what did he go for? 38 DK, had 19 points, 5 steals. That's more the Lipsey that we saw earlier in the season before the injury. I actually went right back to his PRA prop here today, Gab, because it's still sitting at 17.5. That's just going to be a click for me until that moves up. Any thoughts there? And then thoughts on this game?
Yeah. I was thinking about his points. It was like at 10.5, I think. You know, if he's going to get the kind of volume that he got last game, 16 shots, 13 3 games ago, also had 2 shots in between that through some foul trouble. So, yeah, I'm good with that. 6'7", a little bit tougher than obviously the smash spot. Now it's on the road in a horrible total. This game, the first time they played was actually the second highest possession game of K-State's conference schedule. If I looked into it, I would almost guarantee you that has to do with the live ball turnover aspect of Iowa State. They turned over K-State at an exorbitant rate that game, and were probably able to get out and run. So we'll see if that sustains. K-State is bottom 20 in allowing turnovers, and Iowa State we know is top 5 in forcing them. They're actually better than Houston in Big 12 adjusted defensive efficiency, which tells you how good they're playing on that end of the floor. I think going to be a game where if you are playing, it's Lipsy or one max of anybody in this game, I think.
Yeah, it might even just be Lipsy only. I listed the K-State guys just because, they project for basically 4X-ish every single slate, but not a ton of interest there. Let's keep it moving. South Carolina at Mississippi State. Mississippi State -5 here, 133.5 total. Was kind of hoping that this would open with a lighter spread. I wanted to bet Mississippi State here, coming off a couple of road losses, coming back home against a South Carolina team that I'm not fully bought into. But yeah, what do you think here? We saw South Carolina get back to full health last game. Murray Boyles has just been awesome. I doubted him in that Tennessee spot, and he played well. Still priced at that 7.4 price point. Tough road matchup here, but he's kind of proven it in all types of game environments.
He's going to be good, man.
Yeah, he already is good.
Yeah, he's going to be really good next year. I said it last time. It's a little bit DJ Burns-esque. It's a big body with some fleet feet that you can play through in the post a little bit as a facilitator, as a back to the basket guy. I think this conference game was the first conference game for both of these teams that it was Toulouse Smith's second game back. Fouled out in 20 minutes, I think, but 13-4. So it's two teams that are elite in keeping opponents away from the rim. So this is going to be a game that comes down to who can just make the jump shots, especially from the mid-range and the perimeter. So, which just tells me I'm out on it betting. I don't want to have to kind of guess that.
Yeah.
I think just another really gross game that is max 1. The one thing I will mention is, Studi came back, immediately played 21 minutes.
Yep.
At 3.7. Against the Mississippi State no middle, I don't hate that. I would definitely mix him in if you are playing, more than 3 lineups or so.
Yeah, I lied. I have 2 guys under 4K on the playbook. He's the second one at 3.7. Yeah, I mean, encouraging to see them kind of put him right back into his normal role there. He wasn't doing much before the injury, but he could shoot, 5 to 7 threes here and pay off that tag for sure. Any interest on the Miss State side? Tolu should play 30-ish if he doesn't foul. Josh Hubbard is so good, but really scoring reliant in a lower game total here. And then lastly, DJ Jeffries got up to, I think, 30 minutes last game. I'm not sure if that was because of fouls or matchup or whatever, but him playing 30 minutes at 5K, I think is at least interesting.
Yeah, I think he was just a guy that they were bringing along slowly post injury.
Yeah,
I think is all that was. Does he get 30 every game? Here on out, I don't think so. It's still probably much more in the high 20s. Maybe a 30-minute projection for in some spots. Can't play with more fouls. Yeah, he's interesting. 5'1". I'm not in love with it. I just hate the game environment. 2, don't love kind of the scoring upside just with the South Carolina defense and the way that they scheme. But yeah, I think worth consideration at least.
Yeah, I think he might be more of a guy we keep an eye on here, Gav, and if he plays 30 again, we're going to have interest early in that conference tournament, something like that.
Yeah, if South Carolina plays one of the track meet teams, Florida, LSU, Kentucky, Bama in the SEC tournament, that could be the spot to definitely use him.
Yep. All right, let's go to a great game in the Big East. Creighton at Villanova. It's revenge time for Creighton here, Gav. They dropped that home game to Nova. God, that feels like 2 months ago. It might have been. Creighton laying 1.5 on the road here, 136 total. Nova always has these, sub 140 totals here. I think this game's more interesting real life wise, just because of like the spot with Creighton. Creighton's played so well down the stretch. They're up to 10th at Ken Palm. I know that we were both really high on this team coming in. They lost that road game to St. John's. I think that was the Patino white suit bullshit game. But besides that, they've been
after they had just pounded UConn at home.
yeah. But I really like this Creighton team moving forward and down the stretch. I bet the 1.5. I've just been kind of not been on Nova pretty much the entire season. I think it's burned me once all season. I know we were both on Seton Hall there on Wednesday. That was probably my most confident play of the day. I took Creighton here. I think they're going to get the full attention, or I think you get the full attention of Creighton here just because of the home OT loss. Wow, that was on December 20th, so it was a while ago.
I remember that because I had bet Creighton live too, and I'm just like, make a fucking shot.
Yeah, they couldn't do anything. 5 of 24 from 3 in that game, Gav, for Creighton. So I think that they match up really well with Nova. So go ahead, talk about this game.
Yeah, just two teams that are going to chuck a ton of threes. Villanova is going to force you to shoot a bunch of threes. Creighton's going to run you off the line. So, yeah, if Creighton is hitting shots, they could just absolutely bury Villanova here. So I think you're on the right side. They really have the upside to win by, 10 plus in this spot if they're even semi-efficient. You want to take a guess how many points Eric Dixon has in his last 4 games against Creighton in the last 2 years?
I know it's a lot.
It's 103 points, over 25 points a game. So I just did the obligatory click the points, click the over 1.5 threes at plus money. We bet his over 1.5 threes in Omaha, and I think he had it before the first media timeout, went 4 of 10 from 3.
Yeah.
The Creighton drop, he's always just wreaked havoc in that role. So yeah, he's not at a bad price at all. 7.3, and if he's going to get 20 plus from the floor, like I think, then yeah, he's going to be in a pretty good spot here. So yeah, not the greatest matchup on paper, just going against Calc, but in the role that he's played against Creighton, I think Dixon is pretty interesting for a GPP mix-in.
Do you like the threes more or the points more? The points are up to 16.5.
I bet both of them. So
I think people are more on to the points thing here. I think
that 3 should not be plus money.
Yeah, I think
I guess in that regard, probably
over 1.5 threes at plus 110. I think is
because I think it's easier to see a scenario where he hits 2 threes but only scores 15 points versus a scenario where he scores 20 and only hits 1 3 kind of thing.
Yeah, because if he's hitting the points, he's definitely hitting the threes, I think. So I'm going to bet the threes. I had that on my list. Also for DFS, yeah, this is a spot where we basically said, write down no matter when they play Creighton again that we're playing Eric Dixon. It's been long enough where, we kind of forget that that we're basically like, no matter what, we're playing Eric Dixon in the spot. So I think he's a great tournament play. The entire team just revolving around him right now as they just haven't really figured out what to do around him.
Neptune's a fucking moron.
Yeah. Any interest in the Creighton guys here? Usually don't use them in the pace down spots personally.
Yeah. Not a ton of interest. There's some big totals on this slate, especially the 2 SEC games. So I think that's initially where everybody's going to look for spend up. So if you want to get away from a Sears, from a Connect, I think these guys are always going to be contrarian options. How I would rank them, I mean, pick out of a hat at their prices. So I don't know. They're all 3 fine. But really only contrarian spends, I think, in the context of the slate on the road at Nova.
Yeah, I agree here. I just think that we're going to be targeting the studs in the higher totals. Sorry, I'm just betting that prop here before I forget. I still thought that it was in Kentucky. So yeah, Eric Dixon over 1.5 threes. Look who it is. What's up, Kurt? Can you hear us?
you doing, boys?
We're just talking about Eric Dixon against Creighton. You know, he just always smashes Creighton.
Yeah, I did. Oh my god, 73 Eric Dixon. What are we doing here? I'm glad you haven't got to the UK game yet. I'm really glad. So
Yeah.
I'll continue. I'll just jump in.
Yeah, that's up next. So let's do that game now. Kentucky at Tennessee. Tennessee minus 7.5, 166.5 total. Was at that Kentucky game on Wednesday. Rupp is massive, man. It's a cool arena. It's kind of corporate though. There aren't many students. I was kind of surprised by that. Yeah, we've seen a really deep rotation for Kentucky now that everyone's healthy. It just kind of seems that outside of Reeves and Shepherd, that it's a hot hand kind of thing. I think this is the matchup that Dillingham just absolutely nuked, like his first big scoring game of the season. What do you like here?
Yeah, it's hard not for people to nuke when the game plays like 105-92. There's over 200 points. I mean, yeah. So who do I like? It's easier to find guys I don't like in this game, probably. This was the game you know what? I got a fucking bone to pick with you about this game. You know what this game was? I said,
oh, this is the JJJ.
Yes. I used Josiah Jordan-James. I said his name one time all year. He's literally been dead, cremated, buried under the earth to me. I ask you one time, dude, his points are at 5.5 or 6.5. I think, we should try. And he fucking scores 20 points. Like, you're such a mutt for that. I needed to get my pound of flesh. It was 26 points. Disgusting.
You know the best part of that story, Gav, is Brian and I told you not to bet it, and then we bet it ourselves.
Fucking assholes. Yep. Sounds about right. So yeah, if you want a game stack, I mean, dude, like nobody even at 9K connect as the priciest, 8.3. You could definitely get multiple pieces of this game and be pretty satisfied. I don't know what else I need to add in terms of, the first game played at 200 points. So you're going to want guys from this game for sure.
Yeah. Let's get Kurt's thoughts so he can get back to his newborn baby.
I thought that was a mental hospital that he's at, and they finally gave him his oatmeal and pills.
It'd be more fitting if it was. I don't know. I'm definitely going to have a rule of Jonas Adu or Dalton Connect. I just don't know how you don't have one of those guys in your lineup. If you want to extend that out to Zakai Ziegler, I think that's fine. But, I mean, would you all agree that not having one of those three and mostly the first two is just – I mean, I don't know.
I might play two of them, honestly.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think two is very live. Because, I mean, Jonas Adu is what, 7'3", I saw? That's cheap.
Who?
And Jonas Adu is down to like 7'3".
Yeah, I mean, he's cheap.
You usually hit him and Dalton Connect. So that would be my take on this game. Obviously, Kentucky is Kentucky. We've struggled with them lately. Like, did Mitchell's minutes go up last game? I mean, yeah, they're still doing the weird minutes thing with him. Vicic is 5'5" now. It's just a really murky situation with them. It's only game. UK is only game stack only for me. I'm sorry. I hate to say it because they're so fun, but how do you play them or trust them unless you're just full on game stacking? I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't know who to pick on Kentucky. Like, if Dillingham was still in the mid sixes, I think it would probably be him, but don't have any conviction on the Kentucky guys. Do you, Gav?
I think I would rank them kind of Reeves and Shepherd ahead of the other guys. I know what I'm going to get from them. Then like Vicic is a pretty, easy GPP mix-in kind of guy. Fierro was getting interesting, but now that Trey Mitchell's back, Mitchell doesn't even need to play the 30-plus minute role that he was before to eat into Fierro enough to the point where I don't think he's really in play in this spot. I think look at the Ziegler props. When I looked at those, I kind of was like, wow, these feel low. I think points was like 14.5. PRA was like 23 or something like that. I think it's a really good spot for him too, with just the lack of ball pressure that Kentucky can put at the point of attack. So yeah.
He was the one who smashed him last time too, because Connect had like the foul game.
Yeah, it was like 16 points for Connect. So yeah, I don't mind Ziegler at all. He's definitely going to be low in this spot. But damn, I mean, 8.3 Dalton Connect. That was the first thing I noticed when I opened the slate. I said, nope, that's wrong. That's going in the lineup.
I will say this was the big time assist game from Ziegler. So I think that would be my look for him, not just because he did it last time, but they're just going to score so many points that I think that he could be involved a ton here. Gav, I listed JJJ and Vescovy here.
Oh yeah, Vescovy.
Senior night for Tennessee. I think that this could be a sneaky Vescovy spot. He's only 4'6". And I think that, they let him play. They're going to score a ton. I think that for the first time all season, I might play some Vescovy here. Do you have any interest there?
Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, but here we are, 4'6".
Is Creighton a wheelchair?
Is Creighton in a wheelchair or is Vescovy in a wheelchair? That old bastard. I don't even know who's older between Vescovy and Creighton, honestly. So, yeah, I mean, Vescovy might have his PhD by now. He's been in school so long. But he's going to be massively owned in this spot.
You think so?
Vescovy? Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't think so. Oh,
people are going to see the name at 4'6" and the nut total, and they're just going to play him. I think he's going to be big time owned. So, does he kill you in this spot? Probably not, but I don't really know what kind of ceiling he has outside of kind of an anomaly, high volume, high efficiency 3-point shooting game.
So, if I told you that I didn't think he was going to be high owned, would you play him? Or are you not playing him just because you think he's going to be high owned?
Yeah, if he's going to be low owned, I would be more apt to play him. I don't know if he's the kind of guy I want to play in a qualifier, though, honestly, if that makes sense.
But so he's 4'6". Like you're playing him against like Malik Wilsons of the world, and I don't even know if there's any other Fort and like Sam Godwin.
Reitzel, Garthard is there. I think those guys are great plays in and of their own right, and Vescovy's right between them. So yeah, I think in play
400 here. I like him. I don't know.
Yeah, in play, mainline viable, probably on the outside looking in for a core though.
Yeah. Kurt, are you going to hang out, or do you want to say some last words?
We got two more. I'll just get my minimal thoughts on. Only two more. I want to finish it out with the boys.
All right, let's go to Kansas, Houston. Houston, great spot at home. I think they can lock up the conference if they win. Have they already done that, or do they need one?
Well, I guess they need to win this game to be sure. Yeah, they're one game up on Iowa State.
Yeah, they're laying 8 here, 137 total. I took I think it was 7.5 for Houston. I think this is a prove-it game for Houston, getting Kansas at home likely without McCullough. Sucks that he got hurt again. I know both Kurt and I needed him on, I think it was Tuesday night. Kurt had a shot at the queue. McCullough subs himself out with like 6 minutes left. That was hurtful. But, Hunter Dickinson, massive game last time out. Still only priced at 9.2, but at Houston, a little tougher there, obviously. And then the deal the whole season with the Houston guys, Gav, has been when they're pushed, when their games are within 15, you're just going to see max minutes from Shed, Roberts, and Cryer, and sometimes Sharp too. What do you like here?
Yeah, Kelvin Sampson is going to have this team ready. It's the rematch spot. Remember the all-in Fog Allen spot where Kansas was a dog at home and everybody and their mother was tripping over themselves to bet him, and then they handled Houston pretty well that game. Shed struggled with DeJuan Harris guarding him, but it's a much different scenario if you're going to be down McCullough in the spot. Holy Jesus. Yeah, I mean, Houston could definitely suffocate him here as well. Maybe even like a first half play on them. I could see this game getting actually slightly out of hand, just with the effort that I expect Houston to come with. In terms of, plays, like, with Joe Tugler out, like if you want to bring in, Javier Francis, all right. I think it's okay, not great. It's more of a guy that you pivot onto rather than starting the slate with. But yeah, Shed's always going to be in play as a spend. Juwan Roberts, I think this is a little bit tougher spot for him because it's going to be tougher to rack up some of the stocks that have really driven his huge ceiling games, but 7.5 in a pretty good spot. generally for the game right there. Those are probably the main guys that I would really look at. I don't know how much KU I'm going to want, especially like a guy reliant on scoring near the bucket, like a KJ Adams against the Houston no middle. Maybe like a Furphy threes prop or something like that, because if Kohler's missing, he might really be the only legit perimeter outlet that the team has. And we know you got to shoot over the Houston guys. So,
yeah, I think I might like the bets more than I like the DFS plays here. I definitely like Houston. This is just a circle the wagon spot. Kurt, what do you think?
I love that. Love that Furphy call. And one of the reasons why I stayed on is I'm going to be very quick with the Houston thing, and I really want to talk about the Florida State game. I think a couple of the ancillary Houston guys are Q plays for me, like Francis, Sharp to an extent. Question his ceiling, but at 5'9", I think he can get like 30. Given the matchup there, he'll probably have Timberlake coverage, stuff like that. And Mike Wilson playing 20+, like the last two when they do go small with Tugler out. But I love that Furphy prop. I'm going to be probably all over that as soon as we get off the show, because I love Furphy. We all know I love Furphy, and I don't love him here for DFS. So I like the 3 prop idea. The Dockers here, I'm going to head out, play Keyshawn George, go Knowles.
All right, Kurt. Yeah, all right, let's go to that game. Actually, do you have any interest in Wilson for Houston with the backup big out? He's played 18, 24, and 18 the last 3 games here. And we don't have many cheap guys.
Yeah. You also have, Timberlake, who could start and play 30 minutes for 500 more, and have, last time 4 or 5 from 3 in the Nick Timberlake game. I mean, he's playing much better down the stretch than he was early in the season.
That's true.
So if McCullough's out, I would probably go Timberlake over Wilson. I think Wilson is just okay, not a great play by any means.
Yeah, I just think that he's, these slates where we have the 150, I think, I usually add more guys in the playbook than
Rylan Griffin out officially.
Okay. We have that projected already at RPS. All right, let's do the last game here. Miami at Florida State. FSU minus 4.5 here, 153 total. We've got Nigel Pack questionable here. I'm not sure if he's going to play. We currently have him projected in. I'm not exactly sure what to do there, Gav. It's the last lock on the slate. Any thoughts in this game?
Man, I don't know if there's more teams in the country as dead as this Miami team. Like losing 8 straight. And I mean some bad losses. Some really fucking bad losses. The road team has won this game, I think, 5 straight times, just weirdly. This was the one last year where Florida State was down like 20 at half in Coral Gables and came back and beat them.
Oh, that's right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Matthew Cleveland revenge game. You didn't do dick against him the first time, so that's why I don't really play narratives. But if that's your thing, revenge game for him. Dude, I looked at when I was on the can this morning and I saw Cam Corrin's points prop at 14.5. I almost shoot. I mean, I was already shitting. I almost puked too. Like, what the? Cam Corrin's been smashing the last 2 games.
Playing big minutes too.
He's now also 6'5", so it's much more of a decision to make there. The price up, I'm probably out, but this is going to be a pretty up and down game, I would imagine. 2 teams that, they want to get up and down for sure. I think Florida State is the fastest tempo in the ACC.
I was a spot here for Omir. I have not gotten him right much this season. But, him in the low 8s is always going to be at least interesting.
Yeah, he's definitely at least a couple hundred too cheap, if not more. Everyone, he only took 5 shots and he got to 40 against Florida State last time. Okay. I mean, sure. He still should have success. Expect more than 5 shots. Also could foul on the road. Miami could also just fully pack it in and say, fuck this year. So it's not a must, but it's a good play for sure.
Yeah, I almost took that Florida State 3.5 at open.
I was tempted, dude. I was really tempted.
I think I didn't, just because I haven't been betting much of them at all. It's am I really going to hop in now? So I think that those are the guys in play. A note on Watkins, Gav, 30 plus minutes in 4 or 5 games. The one that he didn't get to 30 plus, he had 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes of the first half, then played 19 minutes in the second half. So I think that his 30 plus is locked in. And I think he's a good play here. Like you said, this game's going to get up and down. It's a sneaky high total, and Miami could have just packed it in. So I think Watkins is going to go overlooked here. I think I might even like him over Omir.
I was kind of getting there as well. I'm thinking dude, Omir's going to be owned. If you have a dud in the early slate, that is such a good pivot onto Watkins, man.
Yeah, we have 29 minutes right now. We have 29 minutes right now. I'm going to bump him up to 31, 32.
That's a really interesting spot. 8K. He's probably going to be 10 to 15%, maybe. So yeah, I think that's just a free late swap. Mid slate, if you got a dud in the late window, just go down from Omir to Watkins. And if the 200 frees you up to upgrade something else, then even better.
Yep. Love that. I'm going to have him on one of my 3Q teams, I believe, today.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He just has way more paths to get there than Omir.
Yeah. His peripherals have just been gnarly. The rebound and assist rate right around 20%. And if, before the foul game, he played 34 and 36 minutes. So there could still be some meat on the bone there too. All right. Any overall thoughts on the slate? Do you have any bets that are outside the slate? I think we should give those away since we're in March now, and we're feeling generous today.
We're seeing bets just across the seeing games just across the landscape getting bet down as teams play a lot of times the third time in a season. It's now on a neutral floor. It's win or go home, especially for a lot of these mid majors. So I am treading carefully for the over, but I took the Northern Arizona. I think it was over 138.5 or 139, something like that. So that's a random one, but overall slate thoughts. I tweeted about it on a Sunday slate, maybe maybe last week. But when we have these slow trickle slates where you have 3 games, 2 hours lock, 3 or 4 games, 30-minute lock, 3 or 4 games, 2 hours until the next lock. You just better be damn sure about these plays in the early window. It's one thing to play the Arkansas and Bama guys. You're going to feel good about them, regardless. But if you flop with a 7-3 Jaden Epps and you don't have money to pivot around with the late news that we think is going to be coming down the pipeline later in the slate, you're going to be in deep shit for the rest of the way. So my main thing is, if you're going to play guys in this 9 a.m. window, it better be some core plays or guys you feel really, really good about in this spot for a main line.
Yeah, and I like playing that. Yeah, I mean, it does kind of feel like more of a Sunday slate, even though it only goes till 3, just because we don't have those 6-7 games in that first window, like you said. I think it's a good slate for DFS. I was glad that Kurt was able to hop on with baby Luca. It was good to see him, and it was good to see Kurt all week at the Run Pure. They're not calling it a party anymore; it's a retreat. Got to stay professional.
They need to write it off on taxes, obviously. So it's company based.
The retreat. All right, let's close it out with some plays of the day, and then top off so we can get our lineups built. What do you like today?
I'm 99.9% sure there's not going to be a lineup I make today without Dalton Connect. What a fucking joke that price is in that game environment. So that's a pretty obvious one. I'll give another one. Dude, the Jameer Watkins play is so sick.
Dude, that's mine. You can't take mine. Yours has got to be Eric Dixon, right?
Yeah. All right. I'll go Eric Dixon for sure in this spot then. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I think Jameer Watkins is an awesome play here in the late hammer. I'm going to have him on 1 of 3. Good tournament play, good pivot, in that 8K range. Eric Dixon, we gave the reasoning on earlier. Hit that over 1.5 threes prop. Let me see what else I got today. Oh, Gav, I took the Supreme Cook PRA under just in case that Drew Fielder, is actually taking more of his role. You have to project Cook for full minutes to get him to 18 PRA.
Okay, I'll be right back.
I took Creighton -1, Eric Dixon over 1.5 threes, like we talked about. Houston -7.5, Tennessee laying the points, Wake, Duke, Providence plus the money, and then I'm on that over that Gav gave the Northern Arizona over 138.5. All right, we're here. It's March. No show for us next Saturday. Gav and I are heading to Vegas for the conference tournaments. We'll be there Thursday through Sunday, sweating the action. If you're a Run Pure member, the playbook's up. Cores will be up soon. We'll have cores for every slate from here on out. And then while I'm in Vegas, I'll be posting all the bets that we take. We'll be doing a lot of live betting action there, so that'll be fun. It was good to see Kurt. For Gav, I'm Steve. We'll see you next time.